Call to order the Board of Water Commissioners for Kingston, Tuesday, September 23rd, times 4 p.m. We've signed most of the minutes here, so we have one member, but we're getting started anyways. We're gonna postpone the approval of minutes until he gets here. We have an appointment, Core and Main on meter systems. I'm Chairman Bob Orlanson, this is Vice Chair. Are you Vice Chair now? No, he's Vice Chair. He's just
I'm just a member.
Bud Loring and our superintendent. If you guys want to introduce yourself and then let's spiel.
Jim Hart, outside sales rep for Core and Main.
Paul Gunning, Senior Meter Specialist for Core and Main.
And Josh Ordway, I manage all of our meter specialists throughout the Northeast for Core.
What do you got?
What's our time allotted here, just so I know? I don't want to
Technically,
overstay
we're
it here. As quickly as possible.
Yeah, so
Okay, so I'll give you guys this now, but if you don't mind following along with me, that'd be great. But this will be something you can kind of refer back to later if you want to. So Paul and Jim were kind of catching me up with, where you guys are at. I know you're currently a census customer. You're using the census products, which is what Core and Main represents. And I think you've been doing that for quite a long time. There's roughly 4,000 meters in the system, and you're considering going to AMI technology or advanced metering infrastructure. So we're just going to talk about what that system is quickly. And then obviously we can keep it casual. If you guys have questions as I go, please interrupt and feel free to answer, or I'll answer whatever you got. So I'm assuming you guys are familiar with Core and Main, but maybe that's a bad assumption. I know you are. Okay, good. So we'll kind of skip the company information, but I do want to give you guys kind of our team, which is the picture of these guys here, which is like the second or third page. Paul and I already introduced ourselves, but just to give you an idea, Paul's specific role within the company is to be completely focused on meters and the technology that goes along with the meters. So he is your source of information and help and support, for somebody to be on site to help you guys with any problems that you might ever have with your metering system or help that you need. And then Dave Putnam is another resource. He's Jimmy's boss. He's a sales manager for New England. And then these are the two census reps that you'll also have access to. Don O'Neill, he lives in Scarborough, Maine, so not too far. And Jason Burkhardt, we actually live in the same neighborhood in Syracuse, New York. And just a real quick background on myself, I actually was at Census for about 14 years before joining Core and Main. So I have a pretty good background and knowledge of the product for you guys. Core and Main, we'll kind of skip over the company information, but as we breeze through that, we are a multi-billion-dollar organization, publicly traded. We just point that out sometimes so that you guys know we have resources to help you if you decide to continue moving forward with the census product. Branches all throughout the country, the ability to pull product. So if there's ever a shortage of product, we have all kinds of inventory throughout the U.S. The local Core and Main branch is Norwood, Mass. That's the closest one, right?
Yeah, we have a branch in Taunton. It's a little closer, but Norwood's got a majority of our inventory.
Yep. And then there's 16 total locations throughout New England. So a lot of branches, a lot of local support. We actually have 2 other meter specialists besides Paul as well. So if Paul can't help you for some reason, we've got a whole other team to pull from, as well as we have some resources on the national level. As far as meter specialists go. So lots of help and lots of support we can provide you guys going forward. Okay, so the technology we wanted to talk to you guys about is called FlexNet. FlexNet is basically where we put up an antenna or a couple of antennas within the area so that we can read all of your meters and have them automatically come into the office. So you don't have to roll a truck to get readings. You can get real-time information, like leak detection, any kind of meters that stop prematurely. You would know that immediately through the system, so it can help with unaccounted for water loss, things like that. So there's a lot of advantages to the system. And then the census system alone, which again is called FlexNet, has a lot of unique advantages when compared to any of our competitors. The first and probably most important, and I won't go through all these, but the first is we have a primary use license frequency band. So when you're talking about radio frequency technology, that's a big deal. There's all kinds of wireless devices out there. You know, we were talking cars earlier, right? Just on a vehicle, there's probably a dozen different wireless sensors and devices that communicate and compete for that frequency that exists in the environment. So with Census, we have our own primary use license frequency band, so we are completely protected from any interference from outside radio devices. There's no other company in the industry that has that. We also have the highest power output in the industry at 2 watts of power. So with the two of those things combined, it allows us to get really, really good transmission distances, right? So we've got a clear radio frequency, and then we've got high power to transmit that frequency on. So the FlexNet system is very efficient. We also have real-time on-demand functionality. So if your teams need to get a real-time on-demand read, they can literally click a button in the computer, and the longest it takes is up to 90 seconds to get that information back. So that's if you have a real estate closing, something like that, you can get a real-time on-demand read. And we also have meters one meter that we didn't bring with us, but we have a meter that has a remote shutoff valve inside the meter. So basically you can send a signal out from the office, either turn the water off, or you can just slow down the flow. Utilities use this for a variety of reasons. Sometimes I think the primary reason is non-payment, right? Everything's okay over there.
I really like that idea. I'm okay, kind of excited about that when you heard that feature.
That's right. So the true two-way communication capability is huge.
So, quick question. So you're talking about spectrum. So you're using your own radio spectrum, or you're using cell spectrum, or what's the like?
It's our own proprietary. Well, it's licensed through the FCC, but it is a primary use license frequency band. So Census about 21 years ago, I bought a paging company that had this frequency band. And Census knew it was going to be valuable for AMI technology in the future. They had a primary use license through the FCC. Census gained access to that.
Use paging?
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't use cell towers, you have to do some different sort of tech.
Correct. We typically use vertical assets that the water utility owns. So it could be water tanks. You might have your own lattice towers somewhere throughout the system. But that's one thing we would want to do for you folks is something called a propagation study. Propagation study will take your potential vertical assets. We take all of your meter locations, and then we do an RF propagation study, and that would tell us exactly how many antennas we would need to cover your entire system.
Does weather have any effect on any of that frequency stuff there with rain, snow?
It does, absolutely. So anytime you have water involved with RF, it can affect that signal negatively. But we take that into account during the propagation study. So if you have meters in pits, then we're going to tell the RF engineers there's meters in pits. If you want to put the meters in basements, then we can take that into account in the study. But you will see a little bit of a degradation in signal when you have 3 feet of snow on the ground or something like that. This picture of the Patriots Stadium, I hope I picked the right stadium. Sometimes folks up here are Giants fans. But this is just an analogy for what I was talking about with the primary use license frequency band. This first one with a full stadium is like our competition. If Paul is sitting on 150-yard line and I'm sitting on the other during a packed game, there's no way we could communicate to each other back and forth. But if we have an empty stadium, which is what Census is, because there's no other radio interference, Paul and I can sit easily across the field from each other, and we both got really loud voices, high power, right? We can talk to each other no problem in an empty stadium. And that's what Census has, which allows us to have minimal infrastructure to cover your entire your entire system.
I think that's where we differentiate ourselves from competition, that in that we use less infrastructure to cover, and that saves costs. Our competition has to use various devices to get that kind of coverage guarantee. And once census does that propagation study, they own it. So in other words, if say we transact and we say, okay, we only need 2 towers, we come out here and we install the 2 towers and put them up, or base stations, I mean, we put them up and we say, wait a minute, we need more coverage, census would pay for that 3rd base station, not you. So we don't come back with a change order and say, well, you know, we need another one. It's guaranteed, and that's why it takes us now, it might take us a month and a half to get that back. They really put their time into it, they got a lot of them to do, but they focus on that guaranteed propagation study, and that's the main player in this to get it right. And others will have to, you know, add multiple infrastructure where we don't have to.
So any questions on the network side of things?
What's the space that you need for the equipment? Let's say you put on the water tank.
Yep.
What kind of equipment space you need, power do you need?
That's a great question. So we could just use a typical 120 volt power. And then the box itself is 22 by 22 by 8 inches deep. So we can mount the box anywhere, on a wall, on a pole. And then there's a coax cable that's usually about 1 inch in diameter that runs up to an antenna, which is it's an omni antenna. It's just a single pole antenna. And that can be at the top of the tank. It can be mounted to a handrail. But we have lots of different options.
So minimum elevation these to have, or
Nope. Whatever you guys have available, we're gonna take that into account. But then if it's not high enough, and we're like, hey, this, you know, if you've got a 20-foot hillside tank or something like that, we might suggest, you know what, we could install a 55-foot pole and get a height of 75 feet out of that, because we can put some extenders on top of that. So it just depends on what you have available. And then we can make adjustments if necessary.
You know, is the radio equipment, is that a weatherproof enclosure?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. We used to have units that had air conditioners in them, but we don't need that anymore with the newer technology. So it's pretty, you know, it's a pretty small box. I mean, I'm giving you hand gestures here. That's pretty accurate. 22 inches by 22. The meters, which you see on the table in front of you, the one at the end there's the iPro meter. That's a residential meter. So that goes from 5/8 to 1 inch in size. Yep, there you go. That's the register display. That connector on top just would have a wire coming out of it. And the wire goes to that white box that you see there. That's the radio. But that water meter, do you guys have any?
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
you do.
okay,
The iPros and MXUs, so.
perfect. So the iPro is a great meter. It's got the biggest feature I think on it is the warranty. It does have a 20-year warranty on the battery, as well as a 20-year warranty on the accuracy of the meter. So the accuracy warranty is a full 20 years. The battery is a full 15 years. And then the last 5 years are a prorated cost. So if it fails year 16, you pay a small percentage of the cost. But if it fails in year 15, then you get a brand new meter. And unlike our competition, when you get that brand new meter as a replacement, you get a brand new warranty with that as well. So that's a big deal. Nobody else in the industry has a published 15-year full and 5-year prorated warranty on the battery. So that's a big deal.
That came in about 2018, Chris. So as you know, 10 and 10 prior to that, because we do a lot of the returns for you.
Yes.
So, but the new ones are 15.5, as well as the radio has the same. The new radios have the same warranty of 15.5.
Yeah, Jim took was 40 MXUs last time he was out. But,
The old ones.
they were having errors not reading for us. So we can actually, what was the problem the guys just had recently? We can talk about that afterward. standpoint here, we have a problem reading meters. So,
The other meter that's on the table here is the Cornell. So this is for commercial industrial size water lines. Right now, we're manufacturing up to 6 inch. It'll go up to 12 inch eventually. So 1.5 to 6 inch. Again, a no moving parts meter. It also has pressure and temperature sensors built into the meter. So you can take advantage of that and build a pressure profile on the entire distribution system. It does have a 15 and 5 warranty, just like the radio and the iPro meter. The sensors are a little bit of a different warranty. That's a 5-year warranty there on the sensors. So if the sensors, the pressure and temperature failed for any reason, the metrology still works. It still reads the water flowing through the meter. So those are the two meters we want to talk to you guys about today. Any questions on those?
Right, spell the second one. Or Cornell.
Yep, Cordonel.
And I'm gonna give you,
Cornell.
at the end, I have product sheets for all these products, so you guys will do the phone, we'll give you can have the products to look at them, the data sheets on those.
Now those white boxes, I want to touch on those. Those are the radios. So those are what read the meters. And then on this page, you can see there's a black one. That's for pit set units as well. The key with these boxes, these white ones, is that you guys have, we did a count. I don't remember if Bobby Umwolf was in here. You took your a list of all your meters. You already have about 850 of these radios that will work with the FlexNet system. So out of your roughly 4,000 meters, you've got almost a quarter of them already set up and ready to go. And there's nothing you have to do to those. If we put an antenna in, it'll send out a signal to those 850 radios, tell it, hey, now you got to communicate to me. And now you're reading, as an AMI system.
now, is that because of the MXU or because of the meter itself?
Because of the MXU. So you have two types of MXUs in your system. You've got M's, those are the new ones. The base M stands for migratable. So it can be read walk by, drive by, or via the antenna. And then you have R's. The R's are old. Most of them are 15 years or older. So those would have to be replaced. They can't communicate to the antenna. We do have a nice trade-in program going on right now, though. Not just for the R's, but even some of the older meters, that anything that has batteries in them, you can trade the old R radios in and get a pretty good discount on those meters. Roughly what, 16% discount, I think is the number.
And we sent a report to Stacy, which takes those older radios and tells you what year they are and how old they are. Stacy's got that report, so when we brought in one of our technicians in for a visit, he sent that over. So that kind of information can always give you a start as you go, as we try to migrate over. In the interim, you always want to get to M radios. That's a good place to start. It tells you the age of the radio, how old it is, the old ones.
But it's not just a reading technology that brought us to this point, but it's also the age of the existing meters and the accuracy, dependability of those meters is why we're at this point now. Too largely impacted by unaccounted for water. So meters that have been there 25, 30 years. It's not a lot of failures with them, but they get more frequent.
Yep.
Right.
They come to the end of their useful life. Yeah.
So it's a lot of those radios, the MXUs that are out there, they're coupled to an old brass meter, an old bronze meter. So we're still in the same boat of having to replace that meter.
Yep.
Not necessarily the radio reading, but the meter itself is really what we're going after.
Yep. And we can get a list of those meters and tell you the age of those as well. I don't think Bobby did that last time.
I think there's a meter report too, isn't it, Stacy? Or is it just radio?
I have to look at it.
Yeah, it might be both.
Again, I don't
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, we've been using the iPros now for 3 or 4 years.
Longer
Okay.
than that.
But before that, they're all census too.
Gotcha.
All the space meters that are just
Just dying.
What kind of information can users get from these things? Is there a portal for them to use, or is it just for us?
So we do have, so you have both. You have a part that you access as the utility, and then there is the availability to get a customer portal. That's something that, you know, it's another piece of software that has to be paid for. But that one can allow customers to log in, view their consumption on their meters on an hourly basis. They can see what they've used every hour. They can set alerts and alarms, so if the meter shows a leak in their house, maybe a leaky toilet or a dripping faucet, they would be able to see that. They could do things like set alerts when, hey, geez, my bill is about to go over, you know, $120 for the month. I want to know so I can be consciously trying to use less water, so it can help them conserve a little bit. And there's all kinds of other features that another big alarm, actually, this happened to my family. It's the only reason I bring it up, is a burst pipe alarm. So if the water line breaks or maybe freezes, you know, maybe there's a snowbird and the heat goes off in their house or something, pipe breaks, water's gushing into a basement or maybe the first floor of a house, this system can set off a burst pipe alarm so that they can know your house is like in the process of potentially getting flooded.
Is there a temperature reader on that too, or just only the burst pipe?
So there's a ambient temperature reader.
Alright,
Ambient temperature?
Ambient temperature, yes. So the other meter though that I mentioned, so this meter, the Cornell, and then also that Ally meter, which has the remote shut-off valve in it, that also has pressure and temperature sensors in that meter. So, and that gives you the temperature of the actual water itself. So you would know before anything froze.
Ambient, it's just ambient, you don't need the temperature of the water.
No.
Just ambient. Yeah.
This was just a picture of that base station. You guys asked about the equipment for the antennas. So this is what that looks like there. So that's the box that gets mounted on the ground, and then the coax cable goes up to the antenna for that equipment. This last page is just something to make you aware of, but you know, Core & Main has a lot of partnerships with different companies, service companies, so we can offer software solutions, services. This last one is a installation company that we work with called Beppo Metering, and they have a work order management software where they track everything. So if you guys decided that maybe you didn't have enough people to do a meter change out as fast as you wanted to, we will subcontract this company or another company and utilize their software to help track all of the water meter change outs. They'll make all the appointments to get into people's homes. They have a call center, they have an online scheduler. You know, they track all the inventory for all the product that comes in. And we would basically babysit them and make sure that they're doing the job properly to get you guys changed out. So a lot of benefit there to having the ability to get these changes. More money, right? But if you don't have the manpower to get it done, then we certainly can bring in the right folks that we've worked with in the past to help with that.
It's a critical piece of a project that doesn't get talked about a lot, installation. If you choose installation, we really try to encourage you guys to consider having that partnership with the distributor. Because if something goes wrong in installation, then it's his fault, or I couldn't program the meter when they're out in the field. When we work with a company, Core & Main chooses them really carefully. They're a partner, that's a national partnership, and we're one of the largest distributors in the country. They're gonna wanna, they follow the rules. We're accountable, Core & Main. But when they separate the bids and you go, well, let's see if we can save some money and get a separate installer, it can be a nightmare because of if mistakes are made and it's not coordinated. So we really encourage that partnership. It happens more frequently. They think that installation halts a project once it gets going because of they didn't communicate with the customer the right way and so forth. The work order management system, you know, customers will know who's coming. You'll know where the guys are in the field at all times from the office. They'll know where the crew is, where they stand on installation, what they did today, where they went. it's a much better process.
Radios are inside or outside? Is that what the difference in the pit or non-pit?
So how do you guys do it now? Do you put them inside the home or?
Yeah, they're all in the basement or crawl space.
Okay, so we would probably follow suit with that, but we always recommend actually putting the radio on the outside of the property if you can. Just because the hardest part of any piece of the meter project is getting inside the home. So if something goes wrong, you could troubleshoot it from outside the house if the radio's out there. And then that helps you figure out if you actually have to make an appointment to get inside. However, that means a wire has to go through a wall, right, to get to the outside of the house. And a lot of people don't care for that. So if you guys wanted them to be inside, we would take that into account in the propagation study. And that might just require a little bit more infrastructure because now you're going through walls to get the RF signal out.
And we had stuff outside that didn't hold up well, the cold temperatures. People work on their house, do sidewall,
They
they
rip
take
it
it off,
off,
and
they
then it's
don't-
gone, and you're out the cost of that device because they threw it away, because they didn't know what it was. And they didn't want it on the front of their house or the side of their house, so
Yeah.
we put it inside and protected from the elements. It's doesn't get disrupted with house renovations or anything like that, so.
Yeah, if that's, like I said, if that's your guys' preference, then we can certainly do the propagation study that way.
Sure.
That works.
To your question, that radio that you're looking at, that's for if it's in a pit setting where you're putting the radio, that bottom one you're looking at. So this would go on the outside or the inside of the house. That one you have your pen on, you were asking about.
Yeah.
The difference is that's set in a pit. And we don't, that's the only place you would use that.
Yeah, they're more popular in the southeast where people's water meters are in their front yard. They just have a
Yeah,
pit in their
sometimes-
front yard.
And here in New England,
Sometimes,
yeah, nowhere we run into in New England is really fancy homes with
Yeah.
a long driveway, and it's way down, and they'll have a pit in front of their house with see what the. I don't have one in my house. But I consider a long driveway as the same as those.
The last page is just a few of the places we have in New England that are using FlexNet. We have literally probably 35 different FlexNet systems in
That's just down the bottom.
New England, maybe even more, actually. And Paul, I think, mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we're working with Portland Water District now they're doing 61,000 meters that they're gonna be changing out and going to the FlexNet system.
Getting like samples, pilots, how do you guys handle those sort of ideas?
Yeah, we can do it. The base station is the piece that has to be installed. You guys actually already have some of the radios installed. So we could, depending on where they are, if they're spread out throughout the entire system, that might be a little tricky. If they are in a particular area, then we can put up an antenna closest to that area. And then you could see how the system works that way. We're also happy to take you to any other system in New England, so you can see it work there.
Sure. But right here in Massachusetts, I mean, locally,
Yeah.
Yarmouth has had, they've had AMI. Another thing about Census FlexNet and their fixed network systems, most of our competitors has been within the last 6 or 7 years to have that. Census has been doing this since 2008. So we have some older systems. Yarmouth on the Cape is one of the first ones. We are in Revere, Chelsea, trying to think of the ones more local to this area, but we have some where you can go right in and see the system, and relationships are strong there with the guys.
Watertown.
Oh, Watertown, wait, that's where Jimmy lives. That's brand new, that system, but I like a little bit of that experienced system in there that they've had time to really get to know it. And
They can tell you what they love and what they don't love.
Josh, can you touch a little bit the base of, that's our infrastructure, just a little bit about what happens when you go AMI training, with how that works once it happens, how we support that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you guys move forward with the system, there's gonna be a software application called Census Analytics. We're gonna train you on how to utilize that. That's where you'll be able to pull, all of your reports. You'll be able to look at customers' consumption. You'll be able to answer customers' questions, and all the data that you need comes in through there. So we train you on that. We'll train you how to do the installation of, you guys already know how to do the meters and the radios for the most part, but we would just go through that with you one more time. We would train you on troubleshooting issues. So anytime something stops working, we would show you how to identify it. So instead of guessing as to what might be wrong with it, with FlexNet, we have a lot more capability of identifying what the problem is and being able to troubleshoot it a lot more efficiently and figure out what's wrong with it. Anything else?
Yeah, I think the key, but I think you guys have already learned is after the fact, in Core Maine, we have a good team and of experts. But so the job's finished, we give you that upfront training, but we're not going anywhere. As when we came in here, we wanted to talk about what Stacy's going through day to day with those readings, and we brought in one of our own people to work with her, and that's included in your support, Core Maine. You get support from the census product that you pay for annually, but that includes us, and we don't charge when we come out. So I may not be the guy solving the problem, but I am your point guy to say, we're gonna get it done, we're gonna get it fixed, and that's what we're really good at, and we promise it, and we deliver, we go into these towns like yours to introduce ourselves because we're new to this, we're not new to the census line, by the way, Core Maine is new in New England to census, but we are the sole distributor of this product in 27 out of the 50 states right now. So throughout the country, in the Northeast, on New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania team, when we took over the line, everyone said, oh, they're not gonna be able to handle this. We got products, we got training, mostly from our peers that came in and worked with us in the field. So we have a great team concept at Core Maine to support you guys, and we promise it. It's not always perfect, but we do get it completed, and you don't have to wait 2 weeks to have somebody come out and see you when there's a problem. It'll be short-lived, to get somebody out here to fix it, or do it virtually over the phone sometime. We can pick up the telephone and go into your system and do it remotely, whatever it takes. All you guys should care about is it gets done, because things will happen inevitably, no matter what. Things always come up.
I have a question. So the census analytics is the software that we use to pull in these reads that come in, and then from there, do I treat it the same way I do a regular file, like when Chris would go out with the BXU, it dumps into auto read and gets translated into Munis? Is there anything different about that process?
It's much easier, but it's very similar.
Okay.
You just select the routes that you want to create a billing read for, a billing file for, and then it takes all the reads out of the system, puts it into an SFTP site, and your billing software can grab it automatically right from there.
Okay.
Who is your billing software?
Munis.
Yeah, we work with them. all the time. Yeah, so that process is pretty simple.
You mentioned you're making the large readers up to size 6 now.
Yes.
What's the availability of anything beyond?
So the 8s and the 10s will be next year in 2026. The 12s are going to be towards probably the beginning of 2027. We do have other, you guys are probably familiar with the Omni meters, the meters. Those are available now too. They're not going away. It's just, this is the latest and greatest coordinate meter.
So this is the ultrasonic technology that most of the country, however, like the Omni meter, and I got in here a packet on the Omnis too, and they go up to 12 inches currently, and that's the workhorse of census, that meter. But today with no moving parts and the low flow pickup where you're picking up every drop, that's where you guys get that cash. If you have some, I know you don't have a lot of them in town, but you do have some bigger customers. Those are the ones you want to get the most return from, and that's where the ultrasonic can really come into play. Not just because you don't have to maintain it, just the accuracy is the same from day 1 to year 20, guaranteed. So that's huge.
Yeah, and the batteries failed and the whole thing just needs to be replaced, or is it just battery swap out?
So for 6-inch and larger, you can swap out basically that gray measuring chamber that'll pull out. For the smaller ones, you have to replace the meter.
So any questions, Bob? You.
No, that caught right up on.
Excellent.
You know, obviously, you know, the bigger the meter, the more potential loss there is. So we've got
That's
to
right.
start looking at, you know, setting priorities on what we do and how we do it and where we get the funds. You know, looking at the large meters, either for recalibration or replacement, needs to be, you know, upfront. We're also going to town meeting probably, hopefully in the spring of 26 with a multi-million-dollar new well.
Okay.
When
Want
we
to count
start-
all that water.
Count through all that water, but also being able to justify to town meeting why we need X millions of dollars to do not only a new well, but also upgrade and modernize the meter system so that we can account for the lost water the present time.
That's right. When utilities spend sometimes millions and millions of dollars to clean water, treat it, and distribute it, now you want to make sure you can recapture that investment and get that money back through the water meters.
When we met with Chris and Stacy here a couple of months ago, we were talking about this. And I think the take is really, you want to be, we encourage you to be, and I think you want to be proactive, right, rather than reactive with your system. So there's a couple of ways that the funding doesn't flow, the town's not ready. The key then would be to build toward it. That would be your second option. The second option would be to grow those M radios, upgrade your drive-by. There's some new technology there that we have available. That's maybe another meeting down the road. But you have other options. It shouldn't be, well, we can't get the funding from the town, therefore, well, what are we gonna do? You should be replacing those M radios, those R radios, the older ones we sang. Stop working on that with your budget, even no matter what. Get those going, so when it does happen, you're ready to go. These meters you've already put in, these radios, we would leave them in, the newer iPro meters and the new M radios when we do a fixed network that you have right now. So if you go forward now, next year or whatever, we'd leave those right where they're at. You don't need to get new ones. In the meantime, we've had other cities just like you in towns, and we're telling them, hey, and they're making that move going toward, this is not uncommon, what we see in these smaller towns as we visit all our customers is, let's get those M radios in, and that's something you can handle in the interim, and it doesn't hurt you no matter what, it only helps you. And rather than wait for them to die, they're going to 16, 17, 18 years old, they've had their day, get the new ones in and take advantage, so when you're ready to move, if the town's saying, hey, we gotta wait, that would be another option for you to consider. That makes sense? Stace?
Let us see information on what it would be for a propagation study, what the cost is for that, and other sort of possible pilot sort of things. I think that's what we're looking to do, is possibly see what works best for our systems out there. And there's a possibility of seeing some in real time, even on ours. I know you talk about other communities like that, but yeah, we'd like to see some information. Do you guys have any other questions here, or?
No, I think the other question was the one I had was about piloting, so.
Yeah, that propagation study too, when you do it, probably $500-600 to do that.
Mhm.
Once we do it, if you go AMI, that gets credited back. So we can do that for you, get it running when you guys tell us. It takes a while to get it done, so but we're beginning to get it back. So good to have, and then you're using real information. You'll know what you got, we know what we got, and we're not guessing, and get it accurate. Any pricing you need down the road here, Chris, Stacy just asked me for Jimmy for pricing, and we'll get it right out to you, so you know the actual numbers, so you what you do.
I think we're all good then? Good. All right. Appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
We'll definitely reach out if you have further questions.
And these packets for you guys, just for that info that all the meters and
Those are all the
products that we talked about, and these, it gets like.
I'll just leave this stuff here. I didn't give you one, I
That's,
apologize.
that's fine.
And we can follow up with you guys too on the propagation study, just to let you know more information, if you didn't already know, but.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all right. For those of you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Move back to the meeting.
Just one question.
Yep.
While you're still.
Yeah, sure.
If we were going to an outside vendor, as far as installation, cost per meter, without the cost per meter, what's the installation cost for?
It's
Roughly.
roughly about $160 to $170 per meter.
Okay.
And that's if I'm assuming there's prevailing wage in Massachusetts, so. like, just like
Definitely
New
there
York,
is.
Yeah, and so
Union shop, obviously.
yeah, it just depends on what that prevailing wage is.
Yep.
That's typically what we see in New York, where we've got
Yep.
pretty good prevailing wages.
Nice.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We'll go back and set the motion to approve the minutes. August 22nd. Moved by Bud. Second, so voted. Minutes are approved from August 26th. Kristen's sick today, so she's not with us.
On her behalf, I'm gonna just go over her notes.
The next step is 1 second, sorry, saying better than, who did the motion to?
Motion for the minutes, second.
Thank you.
Stacy's, Chris is not feeling well, so she's unable to attend the meeting today in person or on Zoom, so she put together a quick little update on some of the things that she's been following with the Main Street Water Main project. Change order number 4 has been processed to pay police details from an invoice from April for flaggers. Wasn't previously submitted, so that was just a housekeeping matter that's been taken care of. The details, well, police details of flagging were utilized in August to take care of the punch list items. Those expenses will be covered by CC, because they had to come back and do that. She said the pay requisition number 8 has been reduced, the retainage to 1%, and the work remaining from the punch list is there's a depression that is formed in the area of 3 Summer Street and the travel lane, and they need to establish the seated areas along the route. So that's the update with Main Street. They said everything seems to be going well up in there. They did repairs, they came back and did the punch list stuff, which is great. They did it, very satisfactory. So I'm happy with it. With the new well updates, Mass EP request for site examination is ongoing. Kleinfelder is in correspondence with Mass EP reports that a response letter will be issued soon. We got our update meeting on last week. That was what the status was, and the geotech, they went to the test pits and the borings last week, and they finished up with that. So I'll be out next week. They're gonna send a couple of reps out. We're gonna walk the site, see what's going on out there, see where the road layout's gonna be, where the test wells are that they just did. So that'd be good to get some more progress with that. So that's what I have for Kristen's updates.
And yourself?
We collected the lead and copper third quarter samples. Those are off to the lab for analysis. We had very good turnaround and cooperation with the residents this time. I think there was 1 bottle that didn't come back out of 30, so that's a much better rate than usual, which was great. The fall town meeting is coming up. The warrant closes, I believe, tonight or tomorrow. The only thing we wanted to have on that warrant was the housekeeping stuff with the articles that were worded or misread or whatever at the annual town meeting, and we cannot proceed with that until the town of Common said until we have our retained earnings certified by the state. I don't know why we need to wait, but that's what she says, so we're really kind of dipping into our general operating budget to make ends meet right now until we get those housekeeping was done. It'll be the fall town meeting, but that's in the spring town meeting. They'll be expected to have that retained earnings certification to proceed with that. So we'll hang up with that. We're just running on a tight ship right now, make things work to cover expenses. So that's the foreman's new truck is expected hopefully this month, by the end of this month, which would be great, so. We'll have some time to get him moved into that, that'd be good.
So there's no warrant articles that we have for the fall town meeting.
But no,
Just the redo ones?
correct, but that'll be in the springtime meeting, because obviously we can't proceed with that until.
That's quite a bit going on in the spring. And
Yes. Yep. And today, I don't know, is Keith Hickey's last day. He is all done after the select meeting tonight. As soon as
Okay.
administrator role down fall.
who's gonna be temporary till they hire somebody?
George, I can't remember his last name.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, he's currently the interim temporary town administrator in Fairhaven where Keith is going, so they're just kind of swapping seats. So,
What's the search process gonna be like here, you know? Started yet?
yeah, kind of looking around, trying to get together a few select people from town that will be kind of a committee. They don't want to do a search with an outside agency to save money.
Yeah. Cause you guys, you're running this all, you guys don't try to be on that?
I'd be happy to be on it.
Did you reach out to them?
They reach out.
Be on there?
I think they already have to, didn't they already figure out what the body of it was gonna be? I thought they did.
I think they were pulling in the police chief, the fire chief,
Couple
a
selectmen.
selectman, and I think that was like it.
No town members?
Nope.
So I think it was sending in one, it was somebody else, I think somebody else off one of the other boards or committees.
Yeah. The team was
Yeah.
on.
It was a short handful of people.
Well, you guys wanna be, I can get too much on play, but you guys wanna reach out to, wanna be honest.
Who's in charge of it?
I think Eric Cronin is,
Probably so.
yeah, the
That
chairman.
would be appropriate.
Yeah. Alright. Stacey, you have anything else?
Nope. I'm just getting my feedback
We didn't get anything back
from
from
vacation. so-
DEP yet.
No, Kristen just submitted yesterday the information that they requested,
Okay.
so they're in the process of forming another stuff. We'll proceed with that.
Kristen's not everything to be concerned about.
I'm sorry?
Kristen's illness is not anything we should be. concerned
No,
No, she's got a really bad head.
about. Okay, that's fine.
Cool. Well, nothing else, then
I move to adjourn.
second? Okay, alright, and so voted.